Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our 2021 Institute Day. My name is Marcus Walton. I'm the Director of Communications and Special Projects here, and we're ready for the next school year. Just so you know, we are encouraging everyone to engage with us on social media and use the hashtag CCCOE Achieves. And you can follow us or interact at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at CCCOE Schools. So please, any pics, any of your thoughts, favorite quotes, maybe you've learned something new about some colleagues in our coffee break this morning. It would be great if we could share, maybe there are some great recipes or interesting take from some great recipes from our amateur chefs or interesting takes from the basketball discussion, or I'm really curious about that NASCAR conversation. So if there's anything interesting or funny or inspiring you'd like to share, go ahead and please share it on our social media. But next, to welcome us and kick off the day will be Superintendent of Schools, Lynn Mackey. Lynn?
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Marcus. Welcome, everyone. So nice to see your faces on the screen. My name is Lynn Mackey. For those of you who don't know me or haven't met me yet, I am the Superintendent of Schools for Contra Costa County. And for those of you are new, Institute Day has been a tradition at the county office. We don't even know where the name Institute came from, but it's our back to school day. We are a little different from the districts. We have a rolling start time. We have about 5-week period of when we start school. Some of us started, a few weeks ago. Some of them just started last week. And we have a wide swath of time where our schools start. So we've always picked a day. This is a new for us. We used to have it after Labor Day, so we've moved it a little closer to the official start of school. And it's a time in normal times, we would gather together, we'd have coffee and snacks, we would have some fun, some laughs, some games, some inspiration. And so what we are hoping to do both last year and this year, even though we're gathering virtually, is keep that tradition. So today we hope to have you feel welcome. We hope to have some humor. We hope to have some celebration. We hope to acknowledge achievements of the county office, and we hope to inspire you. So I would like you to just shake off whatever else is going on with you right now in this moment. Set aside your other devices, set aside your emails, get a cup of coffee or a glass of water or whatever you are drinking right now, and join us and be present with us. And we're going to have a great morning. So with that, I'm going to introduce our board president, Annette Lewis, who is also going to welcome us.
Good morning, everyone. So glad I can be here with you. I'm excited to be here. Had a great time in the breakout room. I still didn't find those donuts, Marcus. I missed those. We did talk about some great things, though, about food. On behalf of my colleagues on the board, I'd like to welcome you to Institute Day 2021. Before I continue, I'd like to introduce also my colleagues. I'm not sure if they're in the room. I was scanning through the list of people. We have Board Vice President Sarah Butler, Consuelo Lara, Anna Marie Avila Farias, and Mike Maxwell. I know they join me in hoping that you've had a restful summer and wish you well for the 2021-2022 school year. As a board, we don't get a lot of opportunities to meet personally with the employees who support the students and families we serve. So let me take this opportunity to thank you for the work you do on behalf of the students we impact directly at the schools and school districts we support. Like the last 2 years, we will face new and unpredictable situations. While the challenges will be new, we know now to expect the unexpected. For the first time, you will try to educate students in person during a pandemic and support schools and school districts as they attempt to do so also. It is our collective responsibility to ensure that we strive to ensure all students and families are getting the resources and supports they need to succeed. If we as education leaders are facing challenges with this new normal, imagine how those students and families are feeling. They will need your continued passion and commitment, your wisdom and guidance. So thank you for all that you are doing to support them, their families, and the educators who work with them every day. I hope you all enjoy the rest of today and wish you a very
Sorry about that, Board President Lewis. I think you muted yourself before you ended.
Oh, okay. I did not touch anything, so I'm not sure how I got muted. Where did I leave off? I'm sorry. Where did it cut off on?
I think it just cut off as you were saying goodbye. If you were
Oh,
going
okay.
to, I'm not sure if you were introducing our next speaker, Christina. It
I
really,
don't-
yeah.
Okay, I don't know who I was supposed to introduce, so thank you.
So next on the agenda is our CCCSEA President, Christina Marabi. Christina? I see that she is here, and we are working on getting her to.
Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry. How are you?
Doing well.
Good.
Christina.
Excuse me. I'm Christina Marabi. I am the CCC SEA Union President. So I'm the teachers president. Very nice to meet you all virtually. We do have a Zoom link at starting around 11. Is that correct, Marcus? Okay, and I just sent out the Zoom link to all of our members. So we'll be taking a few minutes around 11 to go over some union business and questions, and our MOU has been sent out. We'll be having questions about that and our upcoming bargaining meeting.
Thank you, Christina.
Thank you.
And next on the agenda would be our Local 1 representatives, Marissa Frias and Niana Kochnow.
Hello, my name is Marissa Frias. Welcome to the annual Institute Day. I wish we were together in the same room, not the same Zoom, but nonetheless, I am grateful to be here with all of you. This is my first year as the official Local 1 General Classified Unit President. It is an absolute privilege and honor to serve in this role. As you may know, we have some new General Classified Unit Local 1 leadership team members this year, which include Anjanette Lewis as our Vice President, Crystal Gatz and Candida Medinas as contract negotiators, Nicole Square and Rita Bailey, both as members at large, and representing the General Classified and Instructional Assistant Units, Nina Segovia as the Secretary and Treasurer. In our Instructional Assistant Unit, we have Niana Kochnow as the Unit President, Natalie Funk as Vice President, Christina Small as the Contract Negotiator, and Sherry Downey and Amber Clift as members at large. I am truly blessed to be working alongside such a great group of people and thank them for their commitment to this work. We also have many new Local 1 members that have joined the county office. Welcome to the agency. We are looking forward to getting to know all of you and continuing to represent you. We are here, we encourage all members to be active, engaged, and let your voices be heard. We are here to support you and work with you, and we look forward to more conversations about how we can best serve you. This school year, like the last, will come with its challenges, as we are still living in the time of a pandemic. But let's all remember how far we have come, how strong and resilient we are, and our commitment to our work for the students, families, and communities that we serve. We value and appreciate all that you do. And of course, please remember to take care of yourself and each other. I look forward to meeting with all Local 1 members following this morning's session. Thank you.
Thank you, Marissa. And for our next presentation today, you're going to hear from Contraband. So if you all will bear with me a moment as I put them on the screen.
Listen, baby, it ain't no mountain.
You can't see nothing.
Okay.
Like slide over.
Yeah. If you all will forgive me for 20 seconds, a little technical difficulty, we will be right back with you.
No matter how far.
Don't worry, baby.
Just call out my name. I'll be there in a hurry. You don't.
In order to give Contraband their full credit, we're going to start from the beginning. And again, my apologies. Here we go. Without further ado, Contraband.
Listen, baby, ain't no mountain high, ain't no valley low, ain't no river wide enough, baby. If you need me, call me, no matter where you are, no matter how far.
Don't worry, baby.
Just call out my name, I'll be there in a hurry. You don't have to worry, 'cause baby, there ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you, babe. Remember the day I set you free? I told you you could always count on me, darling.
From that day on, I made vow. Be there when you want me, some way, somehow.
'Cause baby, there ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you, babe. No wind, no rain, oh, winter's cold can't stop me, baby.
Oh no, baby. 'Cause whenever in trouble, I'll
be there on the double just as fast as I can. Don't you know that there ain't no mountain high enough? Ain't no valley low enough? Ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you, babe. There ain't no mountain high enough. Ain't no valley low enough. Ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you, babe.
Let's give Contraband a hand. Go Contraband. That was incredible. And so just as a plug, if anyone is a singer or a musician and wants to join in with Contraband, please contact Gina Yetner. Gina they would love to welcome you and get more voices and showcase the talent in our agency. So without further ado, we are going to head back to the program and introducing Norma Gonzalez, who will introduce our new employees. Norma.
Good morning. Wow, what talent. Congratulations, everyone. Well, yeah, good morning again, and muy buenos días a todos ustedes. I am Norma Gonzalez, your Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, and it is my privilege to introduce you to the employees who have joined the Institute since the agency since the last Institute Day. Since I am one of those new employees, I take special pleasure in welcoming my fellow newcomers. All of us have joined a great organization that cares for its people and for the students and the families that we serve. I am sure that each of these new employees will be a great asset to work for the work that we do, and I look forward to working with you. Please join me in welcoming our newest colleagues.
And those were our newest employees. Next on the agenda, we will be recognizing those who have reached a milestone in their employment with the agency. Presenting Nick Berger and Denise Porterfield.
Good morning, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Nick Berger, and I am proud to be the Senior Director of Student Programs here in the county office.
And I'm Denise Porterfield. I'm your new Deputy Superintendent for Business and Administrative Services. And this is my first time seeing most of you. And I'm so happy to at least make the digital acquaintance with all of you.
Excellent. Welcome, Denise. So this morning, Denise and I get to acknowledge the CCCOE employees who have reached certain milestones in their service here with the agency.
And so in order to celebrate our employees and their longevity, they will be serenaded with another hit song from the year that they were first hired. But don't worry, Nick and I will not be singing. We'll leave that to the talented folks with the contraband.
Thank you, Denise. I'm better with a banjo than I am singing, but so I will not sing. But so first we want to recognize the folks who have been with us since 2016.
For all the times that you rain on my parade, and all the clubs you get in using my name. You think you broke my heart, oh girl, for goodness sake. You think I'm crying on my own, well I ain't. And I didn't want to write a song, cause I didn't want anyone thinking I still care or don't. But you still hit my phone up, and baby, I'll be moving
We now
on.
recognize those who have been with us for a decade.
Be something I don't wanna hold back.
I'm sorry, it's still
Maybe
going.
you should know that my mama don't like you, and she likes everyone. And I never like to admit that I was wrong. And I've been so caught up in my job, didn't see what's going on, but now I know I'm better sleeping on my own. Cause if you like,
Okay, so that's my cue for those of you who have been with us for a decade.
fever pitch is bringing me out the dark. Finally, I can see you crystal clear. Go ahead and sell me out, and I'll lay your bitch bare. See, I'll leave with every piece of you. Don't underestimate.
And these next folks have been with us for 15 years.
Where is the moment we needed the most? You kick up the leaves and the magic is lost. Tell me your blue skies fade to gray. Tell me your passion's gone away, and I don't need no carrying on.
And now the following people are celebrating 20 years with the agency.
Desperate for changing, starving for truth. I'm closer to where I started. I'm chasing after you. I'm falling even more in love with you. Letting go of all I've held on to. I'm standing here until you make me move. I'm hanging by a moment here with you. Forgetting all I'm like.
So this next group has been with us for 25 years, and I cannot believe that the Macarena is now 25 years ago.
Alegría Macarena, que tu cuerpo es para dar la alegría.
I'm gonna do the Macarena for you.
So, and these four employees are now celebrating 3 decades with the County Office of Ed.
Look into my eyes, you will see what you mean to me. Such a heart, such a soul. And when you find
Big thanks to the folks who have been here for 35 years in the County Office of Education.
And I never thought I'd feel this way. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm glad I got chance to say that I do believe I love you.
And finally, we have Betty McPeak, who has been educating children here for 45 years. Please join us in congratulating her and everyone else who was named today. This is an amazing list of staff, and I'm so happy to be here with all of you who can teach me so much.
You think that people would have had enough of silly love song? Love song. But I look around me and I see it isn't so. Some people wanna fill the world with silly love songs. And what's wrong with that? I'd like to know, 'cause here I go again.
And that concludes our milestone recognitions. So again, let's give everyone a round of applause for their years of service with the agency. We look forward to celebrating many, many more milestones with all of you in the coming years. So next, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Marcia. Marcia, would you like to kick us off with our next event?
Excellent. Good morning, everyone. It's so great to see you and welcome to Institute Day this year. My name is Marcia Tokuyoshi, and I'm the Senior Director of Ed Services. Today, Marcus and I are excited to be your hosts for our virtual bingo game. Back to you, Marcus.
And I'm Marcus Walton, if we did not explain that to you before. And Marcia and I are going to prompt the bingo game, which is similar to the one we played last year. We hope it allows everyone to learn a little bit more about the county office and its history and have a little bit of fun while you're doing so.
Awesome. So the game is simple and, like Marcus said, a lot of fun. So let's hope that the technology gods are in our favor right now, because we are going to ask you to access your bingo cards. So the two choices here: you can use your phone and scan the QR code right here on the screen, or there'll also be a link in chat where you can click and we should be ready to go. So we'll give everyone a set: QR code with your phone or link in chat.
And the first 5 people who get bingo, either down, across, or diagonally, will receive a gift card to Starbucks. So without further ado, Marcia, you want to take that first prompt?
Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm assuming everyone had a chance to get cards and they're ready. I see in chat someone already has that. It works, they're set. Okay, so first bingo question. The first superintendent of schools assigned to Contra Costa County. Marcus, these are hard.
I will say that all of these can be found on the agency website. So.
Okay, there's your answer here, L.H. Hastings, and we are playing straight bingo, correct? So diagonal, vertical, horizontal?
That is correct,
Fabulous.
Absolutely. And our next prompt: the city where the first school in Contra Costa County was located. The city where the first school in the county was located. And yes, it was in the city of Martinez. Again, all of these questions and answers can be found on the agency website. Marcia?
Okay, next question. This school district in Contra Costa County is named after California's first superintendent of public instruction. And as you're thinking about the answer, I'm going to give a shout out to Tiffany and Kelly, our bingo players in chat, who are ready to win.
And Andrea, who's giving hints.
Excellent. John Sweat Unified.
Everyone got that on the first try, right? The first middle school in the county was located in this city. The first middle school in Contra Costa County was located in this city. Anyone? Anyone? Are we ready? Ready for an answer? D-R-O-C-N-O-C. I don't know what that one is, Andrea, but it's the city of Richmond. It's the city of Richmond. Oh. Richmond had the first middle school.
Okay, and staying with the middle school theme, this is the name of the first middle school in Contra Costa County.
And you know what, Marcia, before I give the answer to this, once you claim a bingo, you will have to take a screenshot or a photo of your bingo card, and you will have to send it to Natalia over in the communications office. Natalia, if you can stick your email in the chat for everyone, it'll be on the screen later. But if you claim a bingo, you will need to ship your winning bingo card to Natalia. And the answer is
Roosevelt, and someone had that in chat too. Excellent. Thank you.
That's pretty awesome. That's knowledge. That is knowledgeable. Or someone has read the website.
Or Google.
Or Google would help. The year the County Department of Education, the predecessor to the County Office of Education, was established.
32.
The year the County Department of Education was established. 1932. In the year 1932. We have the first bingo. So Cassie, you can send your card to Natalia. And we are working on the live transcription, closed captioning concern right now. We are working on it. Okay, Marcia.
Okay, next question. The year the County Office of Education split from its affiliation with the county and became an independent agency.
Okay, I think someone put it in the chat a bit earlier, but
1981. And another bingo I see.
That's 2. Our next prompt. The year the Contra Costa County Board of Education was organized. This is the year that the Board of Education was organized. (1956). I noticed no one had that in the chat. 1956.
Let's try this next one. Oh, it's
Thanks,
coming
Chris.
up now. Okay, the year the electorate of Contra Costa County voted to decrease the number of trustees on our board from 7 to 5.
Another bingo and two more bingos. Okay. 3 more. Oh, that's a lot. Okay. And a couple of possible answers.
1992.
All right. We're going to go through a couple of more of the prompts and answers. And I think that we have identified our first 5. We will continue through some more of the prompts. So if you our first 5, actually, we'll go ahead and send your bingo cards to Natalia. Natalia, would you stick your email back in the chat one more time so everyone can see it? And we will continue on so that we can learn a little bit more about the agency we all work for. This current CCCOE program was established in 1980 with the name of the Community Schools Program. Established in 1980 with the name of the Community Schools Program. Can't fool everyone all the time. Golden Gate, absolutely. Absolutely. And our next prompt.
This special education center was created in 1984, adjacent to Valley School in Alamo. And the answer is Mozzie. And I see, wow, bingo just coming in.
Everyone's still a winner, even if you don't get your Starbucks card. Everyone's a winner. Absolutely. This special education program opened in 1985 in Concord. I think so. Oh, George Miller. Someone with more history is going to have to tell me when Miller opened and closed. But this answer is Marcus. Marcus School. Lots of bingos rolling in at this point.
Okay, question 13, the largest school district in Contra Costa County.
Ooh. Huh. Well, we'll go on to the answer.
Here it is, San Ramon Valley Unified.
Yes. San Ramon, Mount Diablo, and West Contra Costa Unified are the 3 largest, but San Ramon has a couple of thousand more than the other 2. This school provides educational services to juveniles who are either incarcerated or in some phase of the judicial process. Absolutely. Thank you to the Mount McKinley staff. And to our next prompt.
Okay, this is the name of Contra Costa County Board of Education President. And I see some triple bingos happening. There you go.
She was
And
asking
that's
for
yours.
donuts earlier this morning. So
Thank you. Thanks, Marcus.
this is the name of the first woman to be elected superintendent of schools in Contra Costa County. Absolutely right. Karen Sakata. Absolutely right.
Okay, and question 17. The purpose of this CCCOE program is to support district success and build leadership capacity, providing a forum for district curriculum and instruction leaders to receive timely information, share best practices, and engage in collaborative learning and problem solving around critical instructional topics. Ed Services team, you have a little bit of an edge on this one.
And Steve Bateman has his first bingo.
Excellent. Here it is. It is our County Curriculum Council.
There we go. It doesn't get enough of a shout out from us sometimes. So, we wanted to make sure we got them into the bingo game. CCCOE coordinates local education programming for this educational access channel. Yes, EdTV. EdTV. If you haven't watched, you should, because Betty McPeak has a show, Circle Time. Betty, are we still doing Circle Time on EdTV?
I believe so, yes.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. And yes, hopefully by the end of this, the end of our questions, everyone will have a blackout on their cards.
Very good. Next question. CCCOE has authorized this many charter schools. And that number is 8.
Next time we'll have everyone name them off the top of their heads. This school district is home to the most charter schools in the county. I think everyone knows West Contra Costa Unified. Absolutely.
And the best kept secret, this is the smallest school district in our county. Ah, look at everyone coming in on chat. Not so much a secret then.
I guess it's not. There we go, Canyon. With its one school. 67 students. Absolutely. This CCCOE program provides leadership coaching opportunities to educational leaders throughout the county. This is a small promotional plug, right, Marcia?
Just a small one.
All right. There we go. ALP. We're almost done with all of the of our clues.
Okay, and this county school serves incarcerated adults and has 3 different locations. And congratulations to Leslie, who has her 4th bingo. And our answer here, Contra Costa Adult School.
And this county program focuses on career preparation and exploration, hands-on experience, and academic excellence.
And we have a
That's it.
5th bingo in chat as well.
And the blackout, because that, ladies and gentlemen, is the final is the final clue for our bingo game. I want to say thank you to everyone and the winners. The first 5 winners, which we've captured in the chat, will need to send their copy of their bingo card or picture to Natalia. And hopefully everyone had a great time learning something about the county office. I know that I keep learning new things every day that I work here, and it's been great. So Marcia, thank you for joining me in this. And we appreciate all of the support. So we will now turn it over to Superintendent of Schools, Lynn Mackey. Lynn?
Hi, thank you, Marcus, and thank you, and thank you for all of this wonderful festivities and traditions. I do think that traditions and carrying on some of our customs are really important, especially in trying times. It's good to have some, you know, for some of us that have been around a long time, it's nice just to have some things that we continue to do. One of the reasons I love the bingo game, or some of the games, we played other games when we're in person. And one of the reasons I really love that is because when I started here 25 years ago, it was actually over 25 years ago, but I was a substitute for a while. I knew nothing about the County Office of Education other than going in and getting my fingerprints done and turning in my paper application the way we did back in the day. I knew nothing about them, and I don't think I knew anything about the county office for a number of years. I stayed in my isolated little bubble of working at Contra Costa Adult Schools, which is where I started my career here. I didn't even know when I first started here that this was the agency that ran Golden Gate Community School, which was the last school I had attended as a young person when I had been kicked out of the school district, Mount Diablo School District, and started attending Golden Gate. I was having a little debate with Marcus yesterday because the state says that Golden Gate started in 1980. I know I was there in 1979. I have the records to prove it. So I have a little debate going with the state. I think we might have been in transition. It might have been their pilot year, or we were in transition from where everything was called George Miller. Because when I got here, many of the schools were still called George Miller as an umbrella, and then we transitioned. So I just think it's wonderful for new staff to get to know some of the great work that we do, some of the different departments that we support, and just get to know the programs. So this was just an opportunity to do that. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about what we are doing, what we've done last year, and just sort of a state of our programs. It won't be everything. We do so much, there's no way to cover it in just a few moments. And you will be getting your annual report that we've been doing. That will be coming out in the next week or two, and it will be full of data and articles about the wonderful work we've been doing. So in next slide, please. I have to remember to, next slide. So in our county office, you know, one of the great privileges and honors that we do is we really serve the most vulnerable students in our county. It is great work. I think it is some of the most important work as educators that we can do and that the agency can support. So this is just some of the programs that we serve in our county. We have programs all the way across the county from West County in Richmond all the way out to Brentwood. And right now they are all up and running, and we are back fully in person. We are, as all the school districts are challenging, you know, we are there with joy and excitement and trepidation, right? So we are really balancing supporting our students and our teachers and making sure that we are doing it safely and supportively. And what I want to express to everybody is, as we're entering this school year, I want to make sure that you know that it is not about diving into the academics and making sure that, you know, students are getting all their academic content. You know, I don't want to be thinking about learning loss. I want to be thinking about learning acceleration. And I want you to ease into the school year, both as staff members to take care of yourself and to take care of your students and your family. I want to think of this as a time to, you know, really help connect, you know, remake those connections and help the students relearn how to make connections and to go forward as a team, really working on our social emotional side of things. And the academics will come, because I've been in all your classes. I know the wonderful work you do in academics and helping our students achieve their IEP goals or their learning objectives or helping them graduate. And all of that work is continuing on. And we also want to make sure that we're taking care of the rest of ourselves and our students. I do want to talk about some of our priorities as an agency. Next slide. So some of you, the new folks won't know this, but when I've been the superintendent here, I'm in my 3rd year. And when I came on, we did a fairly large strategic planning initiative. It's what is kind of, it's not ironic, but what was challenging is right when we were coming to an end to that, where we are about to really launch it at, you know, some of our priorities as initiatives, and where we are going to align all of our goals with our priorities. All of that was going to happen in April, and we shut down in March. So some of these things, we just, even though I know we continue to do the work, we didn't push things as initiatives and more work and changing, because what I do know, and what we all know as educators, we can only take so much new learning and so much change. And there was so much change happening that we wanted to just really support everybody with the changing environment and not start a bunch of new things. But I am going to show you today how some of these priorities were really actualized and activated, because it is what we do as a team. So we as a school community really decided that student achievement, educational equity, organizational wellness, and district support were 4 of our key priorities that we wanted to really focus on. Our values, we talked about our values, and one of the core values is being a service organization, that we serve our districts, we serve our students, we serve our families, that we serve we support each other, we think of each other as our customers, and that is how we operate as an agency. When we talk about student achievement, we really talked about who are our students and how do we support them, because our students are truly the most vulnerable. And as an organization, I want to always keep a laser focus on the students we support. Next slide. So even in a year of turmoil last year, because last year was very challenging, we continue to serve. Our special education sites served 240 students last year. So here is some of our data. There are our sites for the new folks. You'll have an opportunity to get to know all of our sites as you join our team, but these are our special education sites. Our wonderful staff continue to serve these students and support them. Next slide. 3 of our what would be considered alternative ed programs, Mount McKinley, which is in 2 juvenile detention facilities in the county, one in Byron, one in Martinez, our Golden Gate Community School, which is countywide, and then our adult schools, which is where I started my career here, are in the 3 jails. And look at the numbers of students we served last year. We continue to do amazing work in these programs. and continue to just support and focus on our students. Some of our goals shifted a little bit last year. And even though you see things like high school diplomas and college pathways and all of those things are absolutely critical and wonderful, I do know from talking to teachers and our teams that we also focused on basic needs of our students, right? So both the emotional and just the physical basic needs of our students was really key. We had staff members calling each one of our students. We had you know, people just reaching out, making sure the families had what they needed, that the students had what they needed, because we know that if we aren't okay just on a basic level, we are not going to be able to learn and function. So we continue to do that great work. Next slide. One of the things I'm very proud of, I mean, I'm very proud of every department in this agency, but one thing we were able to do last year was support truly our most vulnerable students. We started learning hubs in partnership with a number of great organizations like YMCA, Boys and Girls Clubs, a variety of programs throughout. We had 17 locations throughout the county where we had referrals from children and family services of students who were at risk of abuse in the home. We had foster youth, we had homeless, we had started a learning hub in our battered parent shelter here in the community. Really important work, really taking care of their students' just most basic needs and the families' most basic needs. And I really am also super proud of the work that our 2P group does. You know, 2P is for tobacco use and prevention education, but they do so much more than that. They really do. It really is. And you'll see the new staff here. You'll be getting the wellness newsletter from the 2P group. It's an amazing effort that they do on a regular basis. And it really is talking about the whole child and wellness and anything from weed, I can't think of the right word for it right now, weed or tobacco or drinking, and they do a lot of great work. And look at how many students they served last year. Next slide. And in our youth services program, so our youth services program works with students who are homeless, who are foster youth, who are getting out of an incarcerated situation or might be on probation. Again, our most vulnerable and our most, to me, our highest priority students in this county. That team literally picked up the phone and called foster youth students to make sure that they had what they needed and that districts were supporting those students. So we have a number of, you know, right here, 2,414 students in our community are homeless. And we are going to do everything in our power now and in the future to make sure those students are getting everything they need. And this amazing department, you know, we're trying to double down our resources with them and really support this department. So because this is one of our top priorities in our agency is to serve these youth. Next slide. And here's, you know, historically, this is a little bit of county office trivia or history. Historically, our ROP and our college and career readiness program have always supported the more affluent students in our organization, in our districts. When I came on, or when I was a principal and then a director, it was always curious to me and challenging to me that our wonderful A to G, really high-tech, amazing ROP team and group, somehow we were, you know, it was students that were already accessing A to G or accessing really high quality education. And I want to say our college and career readiness team in the last year or two or three really have refocused their efforts and energies. And we have so many more alternative students that are engaging in college and career readiness, ROP, high quality A to G work. in our own jail programs, in our community schools, in alternative programs throughout the districts. And I just commend them for knowing and supporting our priorities, that these students are our highest priority, and that we want to make sure that they have a pathway to college or career or just jobs that will see them through their future. So I commend this work. Next slide. I also, we've been doing some really great work both internally and with the districts around our priorities of equity and how to not make equity a separate standalone issue or topic, but how to really embed the idea of educational equity into all the work we do. And our educational services department has just really highlighted their efforts and really embrace that this is a focus for the agency. It is one of our highest priorities, not only in us procedurally, like we have reformed our equity team. We just gathered the other day. We're going to be hashing out what our goals are and what our views are, and going forward, what we're going to do with this team and how we're going to implement it countywide, agency-wide. In the meantime, look at these wonderful, amazing things that our educational services department has made sure to infuse this work, not only in our own program, but with our school districts. And I just think, again, this is one of our highest priorities, is educational equity. And we want to keep and make sure we're continuing to do that work. As we go forward, as we together as a team, we are going to be focusing on those 4 key areas of priority: our students, our educational equity, our support for our school districts, because we know that all of our students are coming from the school district. The more that we support our school districts, the better our students are supported. So we'll be supporting our districts. And then our educational, our own organizational health and wellness. We want this to be the best place to work. We want this to be an organization where you feel proud and really want to be here and feel that you have good work-life balance and you have a great place to work. Last year, again, for those of you who are new, who don't know, this last year we finished a large project that was started the year before the pandemic of redoing all our school sites, and which would be, some of them had been woefully under-resourced for a while. So we have new furniture, new equipment, new technology, new ventilation, new cleaning priorities, new focus on custodial work. And I do try to do this in every meeting that I'm in. It's just a shout out to our amazing facilities and custodial teams who've really been, really upping their game and really supporting us. But that, again, is going to be one of our priorities in the future, and making sure things are done in a equitable and supportive fashion. So going, in the future, thinking about the future, thinking about this year, I want us to make sure that we are, making connections, reaching out to our support systems, making sure I ask a question, and I'm trying to encourage everybody to ask this question: is do you have all the resources you need to do your job? Because you should have all the resources you need to do your job. And please, if you feel you don't, or if you feel that there is something that you need in order for this to be a strong, wonderful agency for you to work for, please reach out to your supervisor, reach out to us. Let's have a conversation. We're also trying to see how we're onboarding and going back and checking in with people and saying, how was your onboarding? How are you feeling? Do you need anything more? So that is my hope. Those are some of our priorities for the year. Really wonderful to see all your squares, all your faces, all your names. I look forward to seeing you at your school sites as I am able to visit. And with that, Marcus, is Nancy here?
Yes, she is. She's here and ready to go.
Wonderful. So some of you were here a few years ago when we brought Dr. Nancy Dome here, the co-founder and CEO of Epic Education. She is here to share with us and inspire us. I look forward to hearing from you, Nancy. Thank you so much for joining us today. It is always a pleasure to work with you. And go ahead and take it away.
Great. So let me just, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I am looking forward to spending the next hour with you. We have an opportunity to do a little breakout, to talk to each other some more. I loved your little welcome intro game. That was great. And then we'll have an opportunity to kind of do some self-reflection. So I am going to invite you to, I'm just trying to get my screen together. I am going to invite you to have a piece of paper or something to write with, because I'm going to ask you to reflect. So, you know, just have something nearby. You don't have to write it down, but if you're like me and like to write, it might be nice to have something around. And then I'm also going to invite you to use the chat and just, you know, I'll be asking some questions and maybe asking you to put some thoughts inside the chat. So feel free to use the chat. And also we have the ability, if you want to speak out loud, to just share out loud as well. So this next hour will be pretty interactive, is my goal anyway. So first, thank you again for having me. And Lynn, thanks for your message. It dovetails very nicely into the message that I have today, which is really this notion of Maslow before Bloom, and what that means. And so as you were talking about, you know, taking care of yourself and, you know, making sure that we're not focused on learning loss, but learning acceleration, that's really what this talk is about, is how do we center the first three rungs of Maslow. So we're just going to start and go through that. And also, if there's any questions, please just ask. I always like to start with a quote. And my quote today to ground us in this topic is, people first concern themselves with meeting their basic needs. Only afterwards do they pursue any higher needs. And I think that's really important for us to remember, especially, you know, coming back to school. And I'm sure that there's, as you go back to your offices and to your sites, that there's some anxiety about, you know, being back and almost, I feel like I'm out of practice. Like I've got to relearn how to be social again and how to be with people again and, you know, how to communicate again, not through these boxes, right? You know, do we shake hands? Do we hug? What do we do? Like, what are those things? And so making sure that we are focused on our basic needs, that when we come in, that we make sure those are there so that we can actually move to the next levels, is really going to be important for us as we start this school year together. So Maslow's, for those of you who don't know, it's a hierarchy of needs. I'll go into detail with both. And then Bloom's taxonomy of educational objectives, which are definitely more focused for the classroom. Maslow's hierarchy, I was first introduced to this in my teacher training. And I remember seeing it and realizing that it made so much sense, this hierarchy. And it's a hierarchy because you have to achieve like almost mastery at each level of these rungs before you can move up to the next one. So if you look at the very base, the foundation is physiological needs. And so, you know, that's air, water, food, shelter, sleep. Those have to be in place before we can go to the next level, which is feeling safe. And then safety is that, you know, employment, personal security, health, property, all those things. And once we have those, we can get to the place of actually leaning in around love and belonging, right? This notion of intimacy and family and friendship. And as we move up the rungs, as these things are in place and solid, we can build our esteem and then we can self-actualize. And I always say that self-actualization is when we are at our best, when we are able to learn, when we're able to give, when we're able to perform. All those things happen when we're operating at those two top rungs of Maslow. And so what do we need to do to ensure that those first three rungs are satisfied? And that's what we're going to talk about. And it's not just talking about those of you who are working directly with students, but also those of you at the county office working with each other. You also have to ensure that in order for you to do your best work, that these first three rungs are satisfied. And what does that look like for you? You know, safety, it may not be the safety of like that physical safety, but there's emotional safety. There's all kinds, safety comes in many forms. And how do you ensure that you that you're there so that you can move to the next levels? So Bloom's taxonomy, which was created for the classroom, was, and you can see that there's two versions that I'm sharing here. The old version is on the left, and then the new version's on the right. And basically in 2001, what they did was they just took the words from the old version and they made them actionable. They made them actions so that, you know, so remembering, understanding, applying. But the one thing that when we think about Bloom's, we always talk about creating opportunities to learn and activities that are operating at those higher rungs. But what we also have to remember with Bloom's is that those lower rungs you already have to have mastered those. You can't go right to creating and evaluating if you haven't figured out how to remember, understand, and apply. And so there is kind of a hierarchy to those. And these are super important, but again, these can't happen until we really get to the place of being like at esteem and self-actualization, so these things can happen. And whether we're talking about students or we're talking about our own work, Bloom's is applicable. One thing that you may not know, though, about Bloom's is that it actually had two other domains. And I thought that this was really interesting because of what in education we have always chosen to focus with. Prior, it used to have an affective domain, which is about how we feel and how we engage. And then there was a psychomotor domain, and these two domains kind of got pulled out. But I think it was important to bring them back because we always seem to, you know, the cognitive piece, the content piece, the structural piece seems to be our focus, but we forget that the affective piece, how we feel when we're doing these things, how we're engaging, how we engage with other people, our abilities, all those things impact the cognitive piece. So just really bringing them back and understanding that we have to have a solid foundation at all these levels in order to move to the higher rungs. And so if you have any curiosity around them, I would really encourage going back and looking at these other two domains that we have taken out of the equation, but I think that are super important as we think about what Bloom's is. And so together, what we'll be talking about now will be kind of what does it look like to bring the concept of Maslow into our work, and then how that compares to each other. And we're going to be focusing on the first three rungs. So when we get our students and ourselves to Maslow's esteem level, we can start blooming. So we have to be focused on taking care of the physical, the safety, the love, the belonging, so that we can actually move to this place of actualizing, self-actualizing. I bring this up because I thought it was kind of funny because of the little toilet paper piece, but because this became another basic need that we needed. But I want to remind us that it wasn't too long ago that these are the things that we were worried about. Right? That these became some of the needs that we were worried about. We are worried about access for our students. We are worried even about access for ourselves. I can't tell you how many of our clients that we worked with whose staff actually didn't have access to good Wi-Fi because they depended on the Wi-Fi at school, right? And so these are things that we were concerned about. These were things that our families were concerned about, the communities that you serve. And so we have to remember that this is how basic it got. And so as they come back, they may be still dealing with some of these things at this basic level. And so how do we make sure that we're keeping we're keeping this in our purview as we're working with our families and working with each other, that they still may be struggling with some of these basic needs. And so when we want to when we have an objective that we're trying to reach, we have to remember that we have to be checking in to make sure that before we start, kind of business as usual, that we're acknowledging that they may not be ready for that we may just need to be checking in and figuring out some of those pieces. So there's 4 types of social supports that, I've got to do that. Okay, there's 4 types of social supports that we can think about as we move forward. One is emotional. So when we think about going into work, we really need to think about how do we support each other in being as successful as we can be and transitioning back after 17 months of being away at some level. And so emotional is the first type of social support. And it's an expression of empathy, love, trust, and caring. And these are words that we haven't always, although I would venture that Contra Costa may be using these words, but these are not words that we see often in education. And yet these are words that really these are the foundation of education. It's through these emotional supports that we actually create that safety, that we actually create that belonging, where we can then create the environments that are most suitable for productivity, for people to learn and to grow and to perform. Instrumental supports, that's tangible aid and service. And so what are those instrumental supports that you can start thinking about that you need in your job and that also your staff will need, and also your families and your students when they come back? What does that tangible aid and service look like? Another type of support that we can be thinking about is informational. And this is advice, suggestions, and information. And I know that the county office already does an excellent job of doing that. And we're going to have to keep that at the forefront, because again, your families, your staff are going to have a lot of questions. There's a lot of unknown that we're walking into as we return back to school this year. And we need to be able to make sure that advice and information is available when needed, and that we're actually being proactive about things that we know are coming down the pipeline. And then also appraisal, information that is useful for self-evaluation. And so the supports is really where those opportunities where we can show up, where we can grow, where we can fail, where we can make mistakes, and that we can use that to grow, self-evaluate, self-reflect. And are we creating spaces for people to show up? Because all of these 4 supports, if we are doing a good job at these, then we know that our staff and our students and our families are able to move up those rungs of Maslow's ladder. Okay. Let's see. So I wanted to, and I got the wrong, I'm sorry, I changed it and I didn't change it back, but it's not, these are steps that you can take to address the first 3 levels of Maslow for staff. Okay, so forget the Bloom, apologies for that. Maslow for staff. And these are things that we, if you already do them, they're great, but make sure that we're taking time to really, is everything okay?
Is it smoking?
Hello? Marcus, are we okay? Or was that just a breakthrough?
We are okay. We're here.
Okay, great. All right. I wasn't sure if I lost something. All right. So these are steps to address the first 3 levels of Maslow for staff and things you can do. So when you come back, create opportunities to check in. I'm giving you some suggestions of things that I've done, with my staff, and things that I've done when I was at juvenile court and community schools. But these are things, just suggestions, but there's a gamut of things that you can do. But this idea of how can you create opportunities to check in that are not related around the job that you're doing, where people can really just check in on how they are, their social emotional piece, what's going on there. So breakfast clubs, like showing up early and having breakfast or lunch clubs together, or walking or yoga, whatever those opportunities where people can decompress and really just begin to share humanity together, as opposed to always being focused on the job at hand that someone's got to do. Number two, create opportunities by which staff can support each other to develop mutual trust. And this is really about, when we talk about communities of belonging, we really are talking about building relationships. The only way that we can have belonging is through relationship. It doesn't happen any other way. And so what are those opportunities that you can do to see what interests you have in common, learning groups where you can learn together, and activities. One of the things that, and I'm dating myself, but we used a strategy with our court schools, and we actually would do monthly movie nights. And so we went, and our first one we did together was Crash. And I remember about 20 of us going to go see Crash together and watching the movie, and then coming out and having the next 2 hours just talking about the movie and the impact and how did that apply to the students that we served in court and community schools. And it was just this powerful opportunity to see each other in a different way outside of the workspace. And again, I know that, everyone has lives, and, maybe some of you are not terribly interested in having these external relationships. But I think that as we start thinking of ways that we can connect with each other, it actually makes the work, when you look at the strategic plan that Superintendent Mackey shared with you, it makes the work easier to achieve because you all know that you're all working for the same purpose, that you're working together for this. And so what are those opportunities that you can create to do that? And then 3 is creating opportunities to share successes and challenges. And I specifically listed that between what are the opportunities for classified and certificated to collaborate together. If I can think of any great divide around staff on campus, it is through positions. And what does it look like when we bridge that gap that exists so that everyone feels like they belong, that they aren't servants to you? I'll give you an example. I was doing a keynote a few years ago in person. It was 600 people in a big auditorium, and the classified staff were invited. And it was the first time that the classified staff had been invited to participate in a meeting. So that was huge. But I remember this, talking about, I don't know how the prompt got started, but I remember the head of maintenance and operations saying, we were talking about relationships, and he said, yeah, he goes, relationships are important. He goes, there's some of you in this room, and it was perfect. He's like, there's some of you in this room who don't bother to say hi unless we're coming to serve you, who don't say thank you, who just give orders. And we're going to do it because we're here to serve everybody. But I tell you, the people who actually take time and say hello and acknowledge us when we're not doing something for you, that you're who I'm serving first. And he was very explicit, and I could see the light bulb for some people go off. And I don't know that people were intentionally trying to be disrespectful to the maintenance and operations staff, but they also have been oblivious to the fact that they were treating them as, you're here to serve me, as opposed to we're a part of a team, and every single one of us is crucial and necessary for the success of the school site, this district, this county office, whatever it is. And so what are those opportunities? If you're really talking about equity and creating communities of belonging, what are those opportunities where you can bridge some of those gaps that currently exist within your organization? And you'll know what those are, so you can address them specifically. These are things now that we can do for our students. And again, it should be Maslow, apologies for that. These are steps that you can do for those of you who are student facing, and also for those of you who are supporting families.
Here.
It may be, you can figure out ways to kind of modify it, but think about creating opportunities to check in. So whether it's your students or whether it's your families, how do you check in and make sure that they are showing up, because they're showing up with some stress and anxiety. Your kids who you're serving, many of them have been disconnected from their friends, and loneliness. All these issues are coming up around just them not knowing how to be with each other. So how do we make sure they're okay? How do we make sure that that they can get to that place of self-esteem, of esteem building, because they feel like they belong and that they love. And that how do we also make sure that their basic needs are being met, right? Because the one thing that we do know is that like the moratorium, although California being amazing like it is, has extended the moratorium on evictions. But the moratorium expired for the nation on July 3rd or June 30th. And so, you know, the families, you know, or August was a stressful month for many families who had been dependent on the fact that they couldn't be evicted because they may not be working yet. And so what happens now? What are they feeling now? You know, were they able to secure work? Were they able to pay their bills? These are all things that are coming up. So how are we just making sure that our kids and our families are okay? Providing some basic resources in your classrooms and in the cafeteria, at your sites for students for where it applies. Free breakfast for all students. One of our clients up in San Juan Unified, this was one of her biggest goals because she wanted to be able to build a community with her students. And prior to that, only those who were on the free and reduced lunch program were able to get the free breakfast. But her thing was, just because the families didn't qualify, one, didn't mean that they didn't need it, but it also didn't mean that that they didn't want it, that being there and having that socialization would be an important piece for building community with kids, for bridging some of those cliques that were showing up on our campus. And so she wrote a grant and got free breakfast for all students and had something like a 60% increase of students showing up early to have breakfast and the interaction changing. So if you want to build those kinds of communities of belonging on your site, how are we creating opportunities to do that, and also meeting the basic needs? Because again, just because a family doesn't qualify doesn't mean that they're at need. They could be very close to that cutoff and not be able to access those programs, but still need those programs. And so, you know, snacks in classrooms, things like that, just opportunities for kids to be able to make sure that their physiological needs are met, that they have food, that they have what they need, but also that esteem level, that they and belonging and love, that they can actually build new relationships that during a school day, they may not be able to build because of the structure of the day, right? And who they're already hanging around with. A few more things. Provide safe spaces for students to go during breaks. And this is also a way to build relationships. You know, we always, you know, when kids are in the classroom, we always think about the teacher, but it's also about all staff on that site can be a part of being the significant adult for a child and connecting with the child. So you can create rotations where adults can just be in those spaces, those safe spaces, and just talk to kids, again, off the record, not about academics, just talk about life. And it's also a nice way to make sure that Classified is involved if they want to be, to know that students see them and respect them and know that they're a part of the running of the school site. Identify a student on campus and commit to making a connection. I would say that this is probably one of my favorite, and again, I'm right now speaking specifically to those who are in the classroom. I know that that's not everyone, but I know you have those programs that are. Who are those high flyers, those kids? And I know if you think about it, every single one of you has one, right? Those kids who, you know, you're like, oh, okay, they're back, you know, and that's okay. I mean, that's a real emotion. But what if we then said, okay, I've got this kid for the year. This kid is going to be mine. And he or she doesn't even need to know they're mine, right? I'm just going to, every time I see this kid, I'm going to make a point to say hi. I'm going to make a point to just check in and say, how's it going? You know, and start making a connection. And you will be surprised at what happens if we do that. So can you identify that kid? Let's provide the supports, because your kids who were already struggling before the pandemic are really going to be struggling now, right? Coming back. And then finally, create a system by which students can support each other. So how do we provide opportunities for our kids to engage with each other differently? So peer tutoring, cooperative learning opportunities, project-based learning opportunities where they're working, creating together. So we have to be intentional about creating experiences for our students and also for ourselves to actually build those those deeper relationships and those deeper ties that allow us, when things get tough, to really be there and be supportive for one another. So what I'd like you to do is, what are some ideas that you can come up with? So as you think about going back to your offices, to your site, and you can use the chat for this, what are some ideas? I've just shared some of my brainstorm of things that I've done. What are some ideas that you come up with that you think you could do, that you can do as you go back? And go ahead and add them to the chat. Staff bowling, yeah, awesome. I would totally do that, Becky. What else? What other things can you do? Can you think of that really would start seeding and building the communities of belonging? Paint night. We have personal and professional check-ins built in our team meetings. Connect before content. Yes, Emily. Hiking. Yeah. Friday breakfast. Weekly, monthly breakfast meetings. Yes. Happy hour painting. Yes. Book clubs. Yeah. Yeah. Playing games. Check-ins. Yeah, identify a silo in a building department agency and build relationships with someone there and develop cooperative and cooperation. Yeah, baseball games, potluck. Yeah, these are great. Morning yoga, wonderful. Wonderful. And these are the things, you know, and you know, sometimes it seems like it's like one more thing that we have to do, but I tell you, if we invest the time in each other now, it will pay off. It will pay off like exponentially over the year and over the years to come. It's like we really have to understand, if we really can appreciate Maslow, that in really focusing on those lower rungs, that we are creating a climate and culture that will transform how people see their work and how people engage with each other. And that really is our goal, right? To do that. Okay, so I want to revisit this. For those of you who saw when it would have been about 4 years ago, I shared this data with us, and I'm going to share it again because I think it's important for us to really remember and understand the impact of social supports. So when we're talking about serving students, and Lynn said this so perfectly, you know, that we can't just be focused on the content with everyone coming back. And that would fall in the academic press side. You know, it's the clear expectations, it's the rigor, it's accountability with assistance, right? But for what Lisa Delpit termed as warm demanders, it also added this notion of social supports. Relationships in and out of school, you know, building trust, confidence, and psychological safety, and creating spaces where not just our students, but our adults can take risks, admit that they made mistakes, ask for help, and experience failure. And what the data showed when she did the research was that when you combine the academic press with the social supports, you actually get exponential achievement, right? So if achievement is ultimately the goal, student achievement of education, right? And so as a county office, you're serving many types of students and adults, you know, whether they're adults or young, you're supporting families. But when we think about our students particularly, what we see is that if you have a classroom where there's a school that has low academic press and no social supports, that's where we see our learning loss, right? That's where we see kids not achieving at grade level. But the minute you add even some of those social supports, and that's all the 3 levels of Maslow, the minute you add those at a medium level, your kids are at grade level. So this chart reinforces to me that we spend so much energy focused on content and what we're teaching, and we don't spend enough energy focused on how we're teaching it and how we're engaging and what does a climate and culture look like so that learning can be achieved. And so but then you put them together and you say, okay, I'm going to go to that high academic press school, the school that, has their content down, it's tight, that, it's doing all the things that it needs to do. And you add high social supports, and you see when it comes to reading that students were achieving at 1.82. So it's almost a full grade level in 1 year above where they should be because of those social supports. And what this says to me is that social supports are as important as the content. And so for those of you who are teaching content, you know your content. So now let's focus on that social support. Let's focus on building those relationships and providing that solid foundation for kids to learn. The second one is even more impactful, and this is math. And math, the reason I say it's more impactful, it's not just because of the number when you look at the high academic press with the high supports, almost 2.5 years of growth in 1 year. But the fact that math tends to be the gatekeeper for most of your most marginalized students, students of color, students with disabilities, this is the gatekeeper. And so if we can figure out how to teach math to those who are most marginalized, and if we know that the common denominator to success is that we increase our social supports, then we need to do it. Why wouldn't we do it, right? Because that is the difference between students low academic press and no social supports. They're not achieving grade level. Again, low press though with high supports, a grade and a half. So let's start focusing on the Maslow side of things and figure out how do we create the strong, solid foundation through creating social supports for our students to achieve and do what they can, right? So that's for us to know. So I'm going to bring us back to Maslow now. The fourth rung of Maslow is esteem. And esteem, I found it interesting when I looked it up that esteem was the regard in which one is held, which means it's actually external to ourselves, that my esteem is built and developed based on how you feel about me, right? And that's super interesting that that's how it begins. Now, I know that ultimately when we go deeper, the esteem becomes something in me, but it started external. It started through the regard in which someone held me, someone's praise of me and those things. And so we have to really remember that for our young people and also for our adults, that we have to be giving that positive reinforcement. We have to provide support so that people can actually build their esteem and it becomes this thing that isn't now internal to them. So now my esteem is not determined 100% externally from me, but as I was growing up, I definitely know that it was. And I would say that, no one wants to have anyone saying bad things about them. No one wants that. So how do we ensure that we are mindful about what it takes to support someone to feel like they belong in a space, right? My mouse froze, sorry about that. So with that, so I want to share this. So I want to bring Maslow back, but I want to bring it back to staff engagement, employee engagement. And this is so important because you have the same rungs and you start to see why we need to understand Maslow when it comes to our engagement at work, because it is the same thing. If you are in survival mode as an employee, you can see over here, I'm here for the money. I'm, God, is the day almost over yet? Can I check out? I'm leaving when I can. I'm not satisfied with the job. And what you know is that if you have an employee who is not engaged and not satisfied, they are not going to do their best work, which means that you as a county office are not going to get what you need. Right. And so these are what they said on the right, like the demotivators. If security is an issue, I don't like my job, but I get on with it. I read job alerts. I'm disengaged because I don't just feel like I'm valued in that place. You're also not getting a good employee. And so we need to start thinking about what are those things that we're doing at the belonging, at the importance, and so that we can have a self-actualized employee. What do we need to do internally in our spaces to make sure? And when you get to belonging, it's like, I know I'm a part of something bigger. How powerful is that? Like, I know that I am necessary for the success of this organization. And you begin to even feel how that is different than those lower rungs. And then our goal is to get to really, what can I do for others so that they can feel the same way? What can I do for others so that we can be the best that we can be? You know, I love working here. And so how do we start focusing? And I don't think you can see my mouse moving around, but I'm circling it around the belonging, the importance, and the self-actualization. How can we ensure that when you go back and you're back in your physical spaces, that we're operating at those top 3 rungs, right? And so we need to make sure, and if someone comes in and you're in survival mode, and we're going to talk about that, how do we support you and how do you support yourself to get out of survival mode? What would that look like, right? So every single role counts. Every single role counts. So we need to remember that as we move through. So esteem. This is where that piece of paper that I asked you to have is going to come in. What I'd like you to do is I'm going to give about a minute for each question that I have, and I'm going to ask you to just answer that question for yourself on the paper. All right. So the first question is, what are the factors of a meaningful job? And you got 1 minute. What are the factors of a meaningful job for you? And if you got it down, I would love if a few of you would maybe throw it in the chat so that we can see it. Pride, yeah. And of course, you can get this PDF. I'll give you the PDF of the whole presentation. Significant impact, fulfillment, making a difference. Feel that I add value, making a difference, yeah. Building opportunities for others, making a difference. Seeing the difference, yeah. Working, it's going so fast now. You can all look in there. It's ask why, yeah. Positive relationships, supports, supporting others' growth. Essential part of making a difference. Meeting an unmet need, being seen. Yeah, thank you, Joanne. Helping, not harming. Yes, Danielle. Okay, next question. Where do you feel valued in your work? Where do you feel valued in your work? By your students, teaching the students in the classroom, my students, relationships, yeah, Janice. Invitations to collaborate. And you're starting to, some of you are getting right to where we're going too. And we'll talk about that in a minute. Student response. When I know I've made, I went by too fast, but you got that. Hopefully by staff and team, appreciation. Yeah, okay. Next question. Where do you feel undervalued in your work? Where do you feel undervalued? I don't. Critical thinking, love learning mindset of my students. Yeah, Steve. And I think that was valued. Where do you feel undervalued? Lack of support. Yep. Being heard. Admin's response to needs. Lack of feedback. Not having team players. When I'm left out of the loop of decisions that affect my work. Lack of trust. Resources. Yeah. Silos and artificial barriers. Yeah. In the past, by administration and sometimes by families' demand and finger pointing. Yes. Breaks in communication. Okay. Great. And those are real. And so, and it's not, I want to really invite us to see that this is not about like kvetching about the thing. It's about, you know, being willing to be vulnerable and share what you need, so that it can be changed, so that it can be addressed, so that you can do that, right? I've got one more question before we get to that. What do you need to feel valued and appreciated? What does it look like for you to feel valued and appreciated, to be heard? Yeah. A sense of shared purpose, feedback and constructive support, validation, good communication, positive feedback, treat it with respect, to have agency. Yeah. Acknowledgement, listening to all staff. Yes, yes, yes. All right. So what's interesting, I love it, is that you're all leading right into my next thing, which is this, which is, what is your love language? And we're going to talk, Sarah, I hear you, money too, and education. Yes. What does it look like to know that we're valued? Because some of us, our love language is actually showing that you value through appreciation, right? So what is your love language? Let's figure that out. Let's talk about what love languages are, okay? So this is the 5 love languages according to a barista. So some people, one of the love languages are word of affirmation. So according to the barista, is your coffee is delicious. Sometimes we just need to be like, feel valued, affirm me. Thank you for this, you know. Sometimes our love language is acts of service. I made your coffee, right? That for me, I'm definitely a service person and a quality person, quality time. I'll get to that one. But the idea that I can do something for you actually brings me value. And so as many opportunities, when people don't allow me to do something for them, you know, then it takes away from that. So we have to learn how to share what our language is, right? Another love language is receiving gifts. Here's some coffee. Some people feel valued when they receive gifts. And so is it Nurse Berry? Yes. You know, sometimes a gift is in compensation, and that's fine. Like that, you value me, show me you value me by compensating me appropriately, whatever that is. We just need to share and let people know what it looks like, and recognizing that it's different for all of us. And so what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for the next one. Quality time. Let's go out for some coffee, right? And then physical touch. Let me hold you like a warm cup of coffee. HR, I'm not really asking them to hold you. You know what I'm saying. So my question for you is, how can you let your peers and colleagues know what your love language is, and how will you find out theirs? So what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick, like 3-minute breakout, 3 to 5 minute breakout. I'll check in. And what I want you to do is first figure out what your love language is, and you're going to share with, there's going to be 6 or 7. Thank you. You're going to share with each other what your love language is, so that you know. So Marcus, I know that you have the first breakout for me. If we can do that, and let's just do it for 3 minutes. And so really quickly, which is your love language? Share, just go around and share. Actually, we'll even do it for 2 minutes. Just share, and then we'll bring them back in 2 minutes. Okay. Are we good with that?
We are opening rooms now.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I've been swapping devices, so I probably didn't get added.
Hi.
Me as well. I don't think I'm in there. I've got 2 devices on as well.
We'll be adding everyone in a moment.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Hi, Tracy.
Are we in groups now?
Am I? No, we are working on those right now. We are opening.
Thank you, Nancy, for everything you're doing. You are just remarkable, and I'm eating every single word you're saying. Thank you a million times. Thank you. You're just beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
You
I
are.
feel like I'm in
Thank
church
you,
now.
it's beautiful,
This is it.
yeah, yeah.
This is the religion. This is exactly everything, right? It's intellectual, but it's also the spiritual. It's everything all combined.
Yeah.
Thank you so
It's
much.
You like
beautiful.
your coach?
Thank you.
Thank you. It looks like we're still working on those rooms.
Yes, we are trying to, it will not let me click.
Well, you know what, because I have rooms. Do we have them set up? No, but they're still set up.
We're assigning people automatically. It just will not let me click open rooms. Would you like to
Okay.
go ahead and try?
Yeah, you know what? Oh, yeah, I see what, oh, no, there's, you know what? Let's just do this. Instead of doing the rooms, let's just do it in the chat.
Somebody said, join the room.
It just opened.
Okay, go ahead,
Took a
join the
second.
room then.
Okay,
Go ahead.
perfect.
Marcus, it does say that there's 150 unassigned though.
They should be moving.
Okay.
I think I take that back. They're like the rooms from the morning, are they?
Yeah, they are. You know what? Let's bring, I'm going to close the rooms, Marcus, and we'll just do it this way because I know.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll
I
just
recreated the room, so that should not have taken place. I'm not sure why that.
Yeah, they're still showing up for me too, though. So.
Yes. Okay. We've closed them.
No worries. Welcome back, everybody. Okay, so what we're going to do is, how about just in the chat, just put in your love language. What is your love language?
Nancy,
Yeah.
I would love to do that, but I can't figure out how to chat anything. So I'm just going to tell you, thank you for everything. And I believe my love language is service.
Okay, thank you so much, Sandra.
You bet.
Yeah, quality time. And I'm going to invite those of you who can see the chat, look at it and look at the names, because your friend, your colleagues are telling you what feeds them, right? What gives them, what makes them feel valued so that they can actually self-actualize. And I think it's important as you go back to your offices and your spaces that you're talking to each other about what's the best way to communicate with me? What's the best way for me to know that to support you so that you know that I value you, right? So that happens. I'm going to go back. Thank you. Yes, yes, yes. All right. Can you all see my screen again?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. So, and I would say, and then, like, let's really, again, it seems it's very touchy-feely, but I think that's what's been missing. And I think that's what we need. We really need to figure out how to get back to each other. And so knowing each other's love languages and then, making it a point to speak them with each other, right? And so, I see here that Bianca likes affirmation, patience, and support. Like, if you're working with Bianca, how do you give her affirmation? Just taking a time to say, Bianca, thank you so much for that. That was great. Like, that's going to make a huge difference for her. And so let's figure that out. I am sharing because I think that, we're talking about each other as adults, but I also want to take it back that our kids also have a love language. And so those of you who are in direct support, and our parents and our families, those of you in direct support with our kids and our families, how will you find out what their love language is? And also, how will you let them know theirs? Again, when I taught in court schools, my kids knew what my love language was, and I knew theirs, and each one was different. And I showed up differently for each one because it was so important for them to feel that this space that we created, that we co-created together, was their space too. It wasn't my classroom, it was our classroom. And so how are you ensuring that you're speaking that, speaking their love language and finding out what it is? There's some parents that just need, they just need that time, right? That quality time, like being able to just sit and like listen to them for a minute and just for them to feel heard, because so many of our families, especially when you're talking about a county office, our families are disenfranchised many times, and they feel that they're on the periphery, that they're not heard. So a lot of our families, and that was my experience as well with the county office in San Diego, was that some of our families just wanted to know that they were heard, that their opinion mattered, that their voice mattered. And so how do we create that, right? All right. So why is this crucial? Why is this crucial that we are speaking each other's love language? I'm going to show a video, and I really hope it plays because Marcus, I sent you the wrong video. So you don't have this backup video. So please just let me know quickly if you can't hear it, but I'm going to play this video for us really quickly.
Did you see that? Why would somebody do that?
Please go into the classroom, no talking, quietly.
Hey, Miss Merida, how you doing?
We need you inside.
How do you think that makes us feel? I forgot my number.
What's your name?
Jordan?
What's your last name?
Carter?
Go ahead.
School is hard enough.
Come on in, sit down quietly at your desks and begin writing.
This kind of stuff just makes it harder.
I said quietly, please. Who's talking? Is it you, Sophie? Don't let it be you.
Don't believe me?
Sophie.
Please just watch.
I'm not up here for me, I'm up here for you. Pay attention, okay? Now somebody answer me. Somebody needs to answer me really fast.
Every time we're ignored or yelled at or silenced, a teacher takes away what's possible.
No horseplay, no running, and especially no talking.
Moment by moment.
Listen, Garrity, your student's behavior yesterday in the lunchroom, it was terrible. Next time, silent lunch. Did you hear that? Stay in line and catch a bubble. I'm not playing.
If this is education, we're in trouble. Bye, Miss McGarrity. Frederick Douglass said, once you learn to read, you'll be forever free. The way it is now, 2 of the 3 of us will never be able to really read. It doesn't have to be this way.
Hey, Jordan, how you doing? Good.
Everyone we meet throughout our day can make a difference.
I've been waiting for you to arrive.
All the difference.
Good morning, Jordan.
How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. How are you?
Good.
Go ahead and put your number in.
Talk with us, not at us.
That's okay. I'll look it up for you. Go ahead, sweetheart.
Okay.
All right.
Teach us what we need to know. That's how we get smarter.
Well, good morning, Sophie, Janicia, and Jordan.
And when you talk with us and teach us, give us bigger and bigger words.
Now what I'd like you to do, children, is turn around and converse with your neighbor and discuss where the mother might have gone.
Words that we can use to read and understand.
She is prey for eagles, so she hunts at night.
And that will take us places we can never reach without it.
Remember, we're entering the learning zone. Now, how can we show our respect to the children and teachers who are working?
We can walk quietly.
Yes. Okay, kids, so what I'd like you to do is continue writing your narrative, documenting your emotions. If you were the baby owl and your mother abandoned you in the nest.
What can you do? Learn all that you can so that you can challenge us to be our best.
You would have stayed and assisted them in whatever they needed.
Share yourself with us and show us how to share ourselves with others. Give us courage. Give us compassion. Help us find our own voices so we can become who we are meant to be.
Why would you want to silence us?
All right. I look at that every time I see that video. It just makes me emotional because it's that easy. And we're always looking for these solutions, and it's as easy as us actually just taking time and being in relationship. And the one thing I noticed after doing the love languages, and I looked at the kids walking through the door, like every kid doesn't want a hug, but figuring out what the kid does want. Some kids want hug because that's their love languages. Some kids can do a high five. Some kids just want you to say hello. So we get to figure this out, right? And we get to figure it out for each other. I'm introducing you to the emotions wheel, just to remind us that we have to get in touch. When we talk about the protocol, the RIL protocol, many of you have heard this from me before. It's really about us getting in touch with our feelings and really understanding what our core feelings are. The outside of the wheel are more those ancillary, those feelings. But if we drill down, we can get down to one of these 7 core feelings. And so being clear on what's coming up for us, and then how do we recognize that, acknowledge it, and then be able to move forward. The protocol, I just want to review it for you, just to remind you, because I know, again, if you've been with me over the last couple of years, you've seen this before, but I just want to remind you of the 3 steps. The RIR, the R is recognize. How does it make you feel? So we're going to apply it to our Maslow work today. What comes up for you as you consider building in Maslow into your practice? Maybe some of you are excited about thinking about how we're going to address these 3 rungs, but maybe some of you are like, well, I got, we've been gone, this is bringing us back to learning loss. Well, I've got so much catching up to do. So what anxiety is coming up for you, and acknowledge it. Don't judge it, just acknowledge it so that you can move beyond it. Because all those feelings, every single one of them is valid. And then the question is, how will you interrupt them, right? What questions can you ask to learn more and discover the intent? That is what interrupt is. So if we apply it to Maslow, what questions do you have around implementation? So those of you who talked about a breakfast club, doing yoga, painting night, whatever those things are, what questions do you have so that you can begin to implement, so that you can interrupt the current pattern and actually introduce something new that's going to be effective for your staff. And then finally, the repair is, what small steps can you take to normalize this practice? The big repair is, how do you stay connected? But when you begin to feel once you've made that change and you're like, okay, we're going to implement this practice, how do you normalize it so that it's not dependent on just one person doing it? And that also that it's not, that everyone is vested and they see the value in it. Let's see, feeling isolated, making plans with others to share breaks and lunch. Yeah. And isolation, Donna, I think that so many of us have felt that in some way or another. So coming back and really kind of being very hungry for companionship, for this collegiality. So how do we create that space to do that? And so as we kind of bring it to a close, what I would like to invite you is to think about the RIR protocol, and individually or with a partner to thoughtfully prepare for things that you can do with your staff and your students to Maslow before you bloom. So that's my invitation to you, is before you get back in those spaces, really just kind of make a plan, whether you're in the classroom or in the office, what's one thing that you can do that will help you really keep Maslow's hierarchy at the forefront, thinking about attaining those lower rungs so that we can get to that self-actualization piece. And then use a guide, and I'll send you the guide as a team to process what can be done organizationally to ensure basic and psychological needs are being met as students and staff return to school. Because there's a lot on our plates right now. There's a lot on your plate. There's a lot on their plate. There's fear. There's all kinds of things that are impacting our ability to be fully present. And so how are we addressing those? How will you keep the conversation going? And that's my question for you. So with that, I want to end on this final slide. Head, heart, hands. In the chat, I'm going to invite you to share one thing you're thinking, or one thing you're feeling, or one thing you will do as a result of Maslow before Bloom. Making regular scheduled times for social interactions. Thank you. Yes, Donna. Build relationships with people outside of my department. Yes. Feeling grateful. Thank you. What else? Inspired. One thing I will do is revisit the wheel of emotions. Yeah. It's going now. Feeling uplifted, walk, 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 feeling encouraged, feeling not trusted. All right. So if you're feeling not trusted, what are you going to do to overcome that, right? What are you going to ask for? And I think that that's really important, that we have to allow ourselves to be vulnerable, to ask for what we need, right? Speak up for myself, yes. Feeling inspired and ready to reach out, some self-awareness, feeling grateful. Don't be scared to speak up. Yeah, you know, in order to really have communities of belonging, to really, if we're going to belong, we got to be willing to engage in those difficult conversations. And we can't assume that people know. We really have to say that if I'm feeling something, that it's my responsibility to share what I'm feeling. And my hope and desire is that if we're using the protocol, that it will be received in the light in which I'm sharing, right? So feeling hopeful. Great. All right. So with that, I am going to thank you so much. I'm going to stop my share and just kind of bring it back where I can see you all and just say thank you so very much for this time today. The hour goes by so fast. And thank you for engaging. And really, I felt your presence, and it's not always easy to do that, you know, when you're Zooming, but I felt your presence. So those of you through the chat, thank you so much for just, you know, letting me know you're there and that you're hearing the message. And I think with that, I'm just going to say thank you. And if there's any questions, you can ask them. Otherwise, I think I'm done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Much. Thank you so very
Thank
much. Thank you so very much. All right.
Thank
Well,
you.
Thank you. You all have a wonderful day, and then also just sending all the blessings as you start the new school year for yourself and for your students and families.
And you do the same.
Yeah, thank you so much. Take care, everyone.
Thank you,
Bye.
Dr. Jones.
Bye.
We really
Bye.
appreciate your work.
Oh, thank you. Bye-bye.
And so we're back. Lynn, would you like to?
Sure. I know we have a message we're going to present, so everybody
We
knows
are.
what they're supposed to do after this.
Putting it on our screen.
I want to, in closing, you know, Dr. Jones' message really is our message, my message to you. I really want to make sure that going forward together, building community, building a space of belonging is one of our priorities. And I look forward to doing that work with you as an agency. So thank you for the day. I want to thank our communications team for putting this all together. Really great work. Thank you so much. I know after this, I think there's another, one thing we do want to remind everybody is please submit your proof of vaccination. We have just a short time to get all that data together before we start implementing testing. And then also after this, members of CCCSEA and Local 1 will be joining their meetings after this, and then you'll be going back to, I know you've all checked in with your supervisors, you know whether you're going back to the site or going back to another location to enjoy the rest of the day and have some great PD, or coming here to the Stewart Building to join your teams. So thank you so much again for joining us, for being participants in this. I too felt a presence in a way that's sometimes very challenging to do over Zoom. So thank you for your participation and your interaction. Marcus, any closing words that you need to, anything? And I do want to thank Marissa and Christina. We want to make it a tradition where you always are able to come and introduce your teams and say a welcome. So thank you for doing that this year. We look forward to it every year.
And that concludes Institute Day. The links for both CCCSEA and Local 1 are in the chat, and I'll put them there one final time. But you have also been contacted by your bargaining unit representatives. So thank you all very much.